Hello and welcome. On behalf of Gentle Waters Pet Memorial, I'm excited to share with your team some quick and practical tips for creating a warm feel in the exam room ahead of a patient's euthanasia reservation. My name is Emily, and I'm the founder and owner of the Art of Goodbye Veterinary Hospice and Euthanasia Training Institute. Veterinary hospice care has been my passion and the sole focus of my career since 2018, when I assisted a veterinarian with the startup and development of one of Canada's very first veterinary hospice centers. During my time there, I had the honor of serving as the assistant medical director and was responsible for training and mentorship of all new team members. It was through this journey that I began to recognize how few practices were offering hospice care as a service. I found that very interesting because we do tailor our care to all other life stages, puppy and kitten, wellness, and senior care. But when it comes to that final phase, that final life stage, the hospice phase, again, just so few practices really had the training or understanding to be able to provide modern hospice care. And that's why I formed the Art of Goodbye. At the Art of Goodbye, our mission is to provide comprehensive training to veterinary professionals that empowers them to deliver modern hospice care and peaceful, muzzle-free euthanasias for all patients. And our vision is a world where every clinic offers hospice care as a dedicated service and provides compassionate euthanasias to even the most fractious patients. Families nowadays have very different expectations for the care that their pet receives in its final days, especially the very final day. It used to be that veterinary teams could, bring patients to the back for IV catheter placement, that we were providing end-of-life care without sedation, that we were using muzzles for patients that were fractious. But modern research shows that families no longer consider that acceptable, and they want an experience that honors the bond that they have shared with their beloved pet. The human-animal bond has undergone drastic changes, and the care that we provide during the most delicate time in a patient's life needs to reflect this. So, what are some things that we can do to really elevate our game and create a warm feel in the exam room during a euthanasia reservation? The first thing I always encourage teams to do is put together a tote. A small Rubbermaid bin will do just fine, something that can be easily stored and readily available. In that tote, there's some key supplies that you would need. A lamp is important. Flameless candles, faux fur throws. I cannot understate how valuable those fake fur or even just luxurious looking blankets, kind of like that fake fur blanket that you're seeing in the image there. They go a long way for really creating that warm feel. And time again, I have had families compliment that and express gratitude for that small bit of effort that we would take to improve that feeling in the exam room and make it less clinical. Silk flowers you can get at the dollar store. You don't have to break the bank here. Cozy blankets are a must. In fact, I would encourage your team to have dedicated euthanasia blankets that are never used for hospital patients, that are regularly checked for rips and stains, and that are incredibly luxurious. There are different music boxes that are available that are specific to pets and have been shown to reduce stress and anxiety. I'd encourage you to look into that. I've also had families say some great things about having that quiet little music playing in the background. And of course, you need to have Kleenex. So now that we have a basic understanding of some of the resources that we can use to create that warm feel bring the warmth into the exam room, let's talk about the steps to transforming the room. The first thing that I'd like to share is that I often call this the 3-minute transformation. This does not take a long time. And once your team gets the hang of it, you can make this happen in under 3 minutes. The very first thing that I would suggest that your team does is to remove the exam table if possible. If it's not possible, if you're able to fold it up, great. If you have an exam table that is permanent in that room, maybe consider using another room for end-of-life care. If that's not possible, I would use some of those fur throws or luxurious blankets to cover the table. And instead of putting the patient up on the table, you can put your lamp there, your flameless candles there, your Kleenex there. Families have made it very clear that they do not want to say goodbye to their pet on a steel table. It's actually one of the number one complaints that I heard from families over the last nearly 10 years of working in hospice care is the trauma that they experienced from coming into a really cold, sterile room and having their pet up on a table in their final moments. So if you can only do one thing to create a warm feeling, take the table out or cover it up, but never, never, never put your patient up on that table. Once you have the table removed or covered, plug in the lamp, arrange the flowers, get a cozy bed in there, and cover it with one of those dedicated euthanasia blankets. And then turn the main light off. Those lights feel very clinical. And families do appreciate that warmer feel created by a lamp. Now, of course, we want to make sure the lamp is bright enough that we can still see what we're doing and the family doesn't feel as though they're in the dark. But oftentimes I will see teams use a combination of a lamp and flameless candles. Ensure that there is a water dish for the pet. Sometimes we forget about that because they're there for end-of-life care. We can overlook that detail, but those terminally ill and geriatric patients, they're often thirsty. And so even if they don't use it, having it there is such a nice gesture and the families truly do appreciate it. The other thing I would encourage you to do is have a dedicated selection of euthanasia treats. And these are going to be high-value treats that are not offered to patients at any other time. Think of things like pepperoni sticks, sliced meat, cheese, jerky, steak jerky, things that are high value and outside of the norm of what they traditionally get. I'd even encourage you to consider things like chocolate kisses, as this will be the only time in that pet's life that it would be okay for that family to share a little piece of chocolate with their beloved pet. I want to thank you for taking the time to learn more about how you can create a warm feeling in the exam room ahead of a euthanasia reservation. If your team is looking to learn more about modern euthanasia protocols that allow for muzzle-free end-of-life care for every single patient, or if your team is interested in learning more about hospice care and how to implement hospice as a service, please reach out, check out our website, or scan the QR code below. And all Gentle Waters Pet Memorial clients will receive 5% discount on all of our services by entering code GW5. Again, thank you so very much, and I wish you all the best in caring for hospice and terminally ill patients in your practice.